Hey guys, this is
Escort
the
sighted.
Germanic Gamer,
Bearing
and
2,
we are
3,
coming back
5.
with some more Silent Hunter 5,
Running on both
Wolves of
diesels.
Steel,
Making
and we're
one
gonna
ship
let these
sighted.
guys finish
Bearing
up their
2,
thing.
Not in this weather.
6.
But anyway guys, we're playing Silent Hunter 5, Wolves of the Atlantic, with the mod Wolves of Steel added on. So anyway guys, hopefully everybody has had a good week. It has been a while since I've actually played this game for a while, and we should be out of the harbor now, so we're gonna go ahead and ramp it up to half speed.
Half speed ahead.
So we're gonna go ahead and ramp it up to half speed. We should be out of the harbor. Obviously this time I will be keeping more of an eye on time, because the last episode, well, this is the reason I haven't played this for a while. I've not played this game in about 4 weeks, something like that. Yeah, that seems about right. About 4 weeks, because when I recorded this was about a week. It was about a week before I actually uploaded the first episode. So yeah, it's been about 4 weeks. So anyway, guys, hopefully we'll enjoy this, and we'll get back into the swing of things, and we're going to be able to read the foreword, hopefully, by the time that this episode is done, theoretically. So we're going to go below deck. There was a destroyer that was right up there. We're going to just actually go back up real quick. I don't know why my computer's been lagging a little bit today. I think I actually need to get a new computer, but that will be a while. I need my job to cooperate with me, so hopefully things will be okay. Hopefully my computer will last, because I don't like it when it lags out. So anyway, there's a fun German destroyer just kind of sitting out there with our glorious Kriegenmarine banner. Yes, the swastika. Anyway, hopefully everybody has had a good week, and I hope you guys enjoyed the new horror film, or new horror games that will be coming out with Five Nights at Freddy's. Not because when I was recording this, I'm actually recording this in the future. I have not even recorded Five Nights at Freddy's yet. But anyway, hopefully y'all will enjoy that, and I'm looking forward to working on it. A lot better than the Slender game that I played for last Random Friday. And so yeah, so let's go ahead and check out where we are and stuff. So, alright, yes, okay. Everybody's kind of where they're supposed to be. Now I remember. Okay, so as of, come on, don't be doing this. Don't be doing this to me. There we go. So as of 1433, we were at latitude 5543. So we're heading this direction. So in theory, if we put our thing right, all right. Actually, where's the ruler? I want the ruler. All right. So if we draw straight line there. Alright. So that is at, I'm gonna say 236, 237. I'm just gonna say 237 and be done with it. So we're gonna say 237. So if we had, let's see, like I said, I'm gonna say 237. So we're gonna head theoretically at 200. Oh wait, no, that doesn't work. That won't work. So like I said, 237. I'm going to draw this out to... Oh, screw you. Oh, screw you. Go away. Erase that. That's not what we need. No, not the protractor. I need the ruler. So let's say, yeah, let's just do under 250. So 237. In theory, we should end up here at 300. 300. In theory. So let's go look at the chart real quick. Man, it's been a while, so I'm trying to remember all the controls and such. Okay, yes. Default. Ships, striking other charts and tables. Okay. No, not other charts and tables. Target data, weather, real navigation. No. No! Torpedo, speed conversions. So it's 300 miles, knots per minute. Actually, no, it's going to be knots an hour. I already know it. Come on, get over here. So we're looking at 300. It's 300. So if we do 10 hours, so we're at 14. We should theoretically be right at this point. So in 10 hours, we should be able to come back, and that'll put us somewhere between 8 and 10 hours. So if we do, so that should be 4:40 in the morning. So we're gonna need to make a note of that. At 4:40 in the morning, we should be at our destination point. So, in theory, again, in theory, or somewhere relatively close to that. So we're gonna make a personal note in our captain's log. Hello, ship's journal. Please cooperate with me. Don't be going off all blah blah blah. So we're gonna add 4.00 hours, 300 miles should be achieved. So we're gonna make a mental note of that at 4:40, and we're also going to do AM just for that measure, and that's one of the good things. So 1400 hours, 1500 hours, 1600 hours, 1700 hours, 1800 hours, 1900 hours, 2000 hours, 2100 hours, 2200 hours, 2300 hours. Oh no, that's midnight. Okay, I'm sorry. My bad. My bad. So it should be 0.00 hours. So 12 a.m. in theory. And this is where my ROTC math conversion goes out the window, because I probably won't even be able to remember it, and we'll be way off course and not even know where the hell we are. So, yes, let's go with this theory and not die. Okay, everybody, hey, go away. I don't want you. Hello? Oh, bollocks. Forget it. Anyway, guys, but that'll be that, and so, I got about 30-ish minutes. So anyway, guys, we're going to just kind of sit out here and enjoy the view. We're also going to be trying to see if we can get away with copyrights, and just play some of the music and just kind of enjoy. So anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and read the foreword of Hitler's U-Boat War by Clay Bear. We read the intro part about the author when he's dedicating. So anyway, guys, hope you've enjoyed, and stay tuned. If you guys aren't interested in this, I mean, it'll be a while before we get into any action. So Like I said, this is going to be a Let's Play that is going to actually involve reading a book as well. So, anyway, guys, here we go. Forward. On a chilly day in the late fall of 1945, our submarine, the USS Guardfish, proudly flying a battle prinnet nosed in the submarine base, New London, Connecticut, joining scores of mass-produced sister ship, all home from the sea. Collectively, we submariners were known as the Silent Servers. Proud we were of that distinction. Unknown to the public, we had played a decisive role in the defeat of Japan in 42 months of secret warfare in the Pacific Ocean areas. 250 of our submarines mounting 1,682 war patrols had salvaged Japanese material assets, sinking 1,314 ships of 5.3 million gross tons, including 20 major warships, 8 aircraft carriers, a battleship, 11 cruisers. For almost 3 years, the Guardfish, a fine boat, had played a prominent role in war, sending 19 confirmed ships to the bottom, including 2 fleet destroyers and a patrol boat. During 12 long and around-the-war patrols in Japan's controlled waters, after we had moored at a pier where we were to mothball Guardfish, we were startled to see strangely different submarines close by, painted jet black. She looked expressionally sleek and sinister. We soon learned that she was a German U-boat that had surrendered shortly after VE Day. She was manned by an American crew that was evaluating her on the behalf of naval authorities in Washington. This U-boat had a very hush-hush and was off-limits to ordinary souls. However, when she shifted her breath to our pier and nicked us in the process, we became friendly with the American crew and gradually talked our way onto boarding for a look-see. We learned she was the U-2513, a brand new type XXI electric boat, one of the 2 such craft allotted to the U.S. Navy as a war prize, commissioned and commanded by one of the Germans' most famous U-boat aces, Rerquime. She and her mass-produced sister ships had been completed too late to participate in the war. In our superficial examination of U-2513, we were quite impressed with some of her features, especially her top-speed submerged. She had a 6-set storage battery composed of a total of 372 cells, hence an electric boat. She embraced her to the quiet speed, submerging about 16 knots for about 1 hour. This was twice the sprint speed of our submarine and was sufficient to escape from almost any existing anti-submarine warship. Alternately, the large battery capacity enabled her to cruise submerged at a slower speed for a great many hours, whether stalking prey or on the escape. The next most impressive feature to us was her snorkels. There we go. Yeah, sorry, I had to go in translation. Snorkel, or as we something, the German snorkel. There we go. There we go. This was the sophistic breathing tube or mast within the air to take in existence. Or mast with the air intake and exhaust ducts, which enabled U-2513 to run her 2 diesel engines while submerged. By rigging 1 diesel or both to charge the batteries while submerged, she could in theory remain underwater for a prolonged period, thereby generally dismantling the chance of detection by enemy eyes or radar. Nor was that all. Her periscope opportunities and passion sonar for underwater looking and listening, were much superior to ours. Her ingenious hydraulics-operated torpedo handling gear could automatically reload her 6-bow torpedoes in merely 5 minutes. A third reload could be accommodated in another 20 minutes. The thickness and strength of her pressure-built hull was said to give her safe diving depths in the limit of about 1,200 feet, twice our safe depth limits, and sufficiently to get well beneath most existing Allied depth charges. She even had an automatic pilot for pressing death keeping at high speeds. Much later, when some of these details and other types about the XXI electric boat leaked out, they caused an utter sensation in naval circles, promoting expert gushing that the type XXI. I'm actually going to look that up real quick. What is Latin translating for that? Give me 1 second, guys. That way I can stop saying XXI. Sorry, my Latin numbering system is a little wrong. Anyway, and I also do apologize that I can't really apparently talk, which is not good. XXI. Okay, 21. Alright. There we go. Some naval historian. Wait a minute, no. Promoting experiments, gushing the Type 21, representing a giant leap in submarine technology, bringing mankind very close to true submersible. Some naval historians asserted that if the Germans had produced the Type 21 submarine 1 year earlier, they would most certainly have won the Battle of the Atlantic, and thereby identifying delay overlord, the Allied invasion of occupied France. The American evaluation of the U-2513 were not too sure about these claims, and their classification reports they sent to the Chief of Naval Operations dated July 1946. They wrote that while the Type 21 had most desirable features that should be exploited, big batteries, snorkels, steam lifting, etc., it also had many grave designs and manufacturing faults. The clear implication was that owing to these faults, the 21 could not have made a big difference in the Battle of the Atlantic. Among the major faults in the Americans enumerated: poor structuring integrity, hurriedly preferable in 32 different factories that had little or no experience in submarine building. The 8 major hulls section of the Type 21 were crudely made and did not fit to the gathering probably. There we go. Therefore, the pressure hull was weak and was not capable of withstanding sea pressure at a great depth or the explosions of close depth charges. The Germans reported that in their structural tests, the hull failed at a simulated depth of 900 feet. The British reported failures at 800 feet, less than the failure depth of the conventional German U-boats. Underpowered diesel engines. The new model's 6-cylinder diesel engines were fitted with superchargers to generate the required horse speed. The system was so poorly designed and manufactured that the supercharge could not be used. This failure reduced the general horsepower by almost half, from 20,000 to 1,200, leaving the Type 21 ruinously underpowered. Consequently, maximum surface speed was only 15.6 knots, less than the ocean-going U-boats built during the war, and suddenly slower than the convoy escort vessels. The reduced horsepower also substantially increased the time required to carry out full battery charges. In practical hydraulic systems, the main line, automatically cylinder and pistons, the hydraulic gears for ocean going in the diving planes, rudders, torpedo tubes, and other doors, and anti-aircraft carrier guns. Turrets on the bridge were too complex and delicate, and they located outside the pressure hull. This gear was therefore subject to saltwater leakage, corrosion, and enemy weaponry. It could not be repaired from the inside the pressure hull. Imperfect and hazelnut snorkel. Even in the moderated sea, the mast ducked off and automatically closing into the air intake and exhaust ports. Even so, salt water poured into the ship's bilge and had to be discouraged overboard continuously with noisy pumps. Moreover, during this shutdown, the diesel dangers obviously stuck air from the inside into the boat, and deadly exhaust gas, carbon monoxide, backed up, causing not only headaches and eye discomfort, but also serious respiratory illnesses. Snorkelings in the Type 21 were therefore a nightmarish experience to be maintained to the greatest extent possible. The U.S. Navy did in fact adopt some of the features of the Type 21 electroboats in the new submarine designs and the immediate post-war. However, by that time, the Navy was firmly committed to the development of nuclear-powered submarines, a true submersible that did not depend on batteries or snorkels for propulsion and concealment. These marvels of science and engineers came along in the 1950, 1960, and later were so technically something as to render the best ideas of the German submarine technology hopelessly archived, and to assure that the United States of a commissioning lead in the field was well into the next century. The little story about the Type 21 electroboat is the perfect example of a curious naval mythology that has arisen into the century. The myth goes in something like this. The Germans invented the submarine or U-boats and have constantly built them into the best submarines in the world, endowed with a cannery gift for exploiting the marvelous complex and lethal weapon system, various or alternating murderers. German submarines dominated the seas in both world wars and very nearly defeated the Allies in each case. In a particular study, Canadian naval history, Michael L. Hardley writes, excuse me, during both wars and during the interwar years, as well as the U-boats, was a mythological more than any other weapon of the war. The myth assured an especially fomented aspect in World War II, and afterwards during the war. The well-oiled propaganda machinery of the Third Reich glorified and exaggerated the success of the German submarines to a fair thread well in the various Axis media. At the same time, Allied propagandists found it to be advantageous to exceeding the peril of the U-boats for various reasons. The end result was a widely distorted picture of the so-called Battle of the Atlantic. After the war, Washington, London, and Ottawa clamped a tight embargo on the captured German U-boats, records to conceal the secrets of the code-breaking, which has played an important role in the Battle of the Atlantic. As a result, the first history of the U-boat war were produced by the Third Reich propagandists such as Wolfgang Frank, Hans Joachim Berken, and Hard Brooks, and Karl's wartime commander of the U-boat forces, later commander of the Kriegsmarine, and finally Hitler's successor as Führer of the Third Reich. These historians, of course, did nothing to diminish the mythology. hampered by the hampered by the security embargo of the U-boats and code-breaking records by an attempted unfamiliar with the technology of the tactical limits of submarines. They offered a simultaneous Allied naval historian, Stephen Wentworth Roskill, and Samuel Eliot Morris, were unable or unwilling to write authoritatively about the German U-boats and the Battle of the Atlantic. Hence, for decade after decade, no complete and revealed history of the Battle of the Atlantic appeared, and the German mythology prevailed. Many wartime services of guardfish kindled a deep, abiding interest in submarine warfare. As a Washington-based journal, The Time, Life, and the Saturday Day Evening Post, I kept abreast of the American submarine development during the post-war years, riding the new boats at sea, compiling accounts of the noteworthy advancements in politics in the articles and books. In 1975, I published a work censored History of the Silent Servers in that very secret war. The publication of Silent Victory triggered a suggestion that I will undertake simultaneously history of the German U-boat war. However, owing to the embargo of the U.S. and code-breaking records still in force after 30 years, this was not possible at times, but the idea took root. While I was engaged in other military history over the next dozen years, Washington, London, and Ottawa gradually released the U-boats and code-breaking records. During the same period, German Navy scholars, notably Junger Roden, mined the German U-boat records and produced quite valuable and obscure technical studies and the accounts of some combat actions and related materials. By 1987, I was able to undertake a U-boat history happily random house, shared by many enthusiasts for the projects and provided the necessary financial resources. My wife Jonah and I camped in Washington, London, and Germany for many months, cuddling and copying tens of thousands of pages and documents. Sorry about that, guys. Had to sneeze. Where was I? Okay. Copying tens of thousands of pages and documents, and microfilms of various military archives, and collecting published works of the Battle of the Atlantic and code breaking. While in Germany, we made contact with the U-boat veterans associated and interviewed forms U-boat force comrades, skipper, and crewmen. Subsequently, we kept abreast the space of I can't pronounce that, and popular U-boat books. An article about phase or aspects of the war that appeared in the late 1980 and 1990. Much of its first rate, the result of the research of the new complex history, which, owing to its length, is published in 2 volumes. I view the U-boat wars quite differently from the other historians and popular writers. As I see it, there were 3 separate and distant phases of the U-boat wars against the British Empire, the U-boat wars against the Americans, and the U-boat war against both the British Empire and the Americans together. With an introductory system background for war, the first 2 phases of the war dealt with the volume The Hunters, the third phase, and volume 2, The Hunted. Each volume contains appropriate maps, photos, plates, and appendices and an index. As the reader has doubtless continues to my asset of the U-boat peril and war, it was also quite different from most of the other historians and popular writers in a world. The U-boat perils in World War II was and has been vastly overblown, threatened infinitely grand scale. The Germans were not supermen. The U-boats and torpedoes were not technically marveled, but rather interfacing craft and weaponry unsuited for the Battle of the Atlantic. In contrast to strategic success of our submarine forces versus Japan, the German forces failed versus the Allies of the Atlantic. The main contributions the U-boats force made in the war was to prevent terror weapons, a sort of thing in the beginning which forced the Allies into convoys delaying the arrival of goods and supplies, and to deploy extensive anti-submarine counterforces. The myth notwithstanding, only a tiny percentage of the Allied merchants actually fell victim to the U-boats. 93% of all Allied merchant ships in the translated convoys reached assigned destinations. This is not to say that the Battle of the Atlantic was a cakewalk for the Allies, or for the many and easy threats of the Germans to mount. On a contrary, it was a bitter, painful struggle for both sides, the most prolonged and arduous naval campaign in all history. It deserves a history by one familiar with submarines of era, with an access of official records unfidential by propaganda and stripped of mythology. Clay Bear, Washington, D.C., London, Hamburg, and Washington Islands, Wisconsin, 1987 to 1996. That's how long that this book took to write. So, guys, that is going to be the foreword for now. So then we have the contents, which is pretty much what it is. And I will be actually putting up the pictures. Which it has a picture of the map, or a map of the British Isles in northern Germany. So I will be taking a photo of that, and I'll be putting it in the top left-hand display for you guys to look at. And then it also has a picture of North Atlantic convoy routes. It's pretty cool. And then the Arctic, Bay of Biscayne, Mediterranean, Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean, and the United States and the East Coast. And then, of course, it also has the list of plates, which I'll be taking individual photos of all these pictures, and I'll be putting them up for you guys to look. And then, of course, we'll actually get into the actual book on the next episode, which actually starts Hitler's U-Boat War. And we'll be reading the prologue and the background for war. My recaps of that chapter, which hopefully you guys stayed to listen to that. My recaps on that chapter, the author is pretty good. Germany, their U-boats, and he was very correct. Germany's U-boats. Okay, early during the war, and many of you guys probably know this, early during the war, the U-boats did extraordinary well. And that was all mainly just because of the fact that convoy systems were non-existent yet. They don't actually show up until, 1940, I think, 1941. I'd have to go back and look. U-boats were able to go in and they were able to sink merchants. For the beginning parts of the war, that's when you see the most sinkings in enemy merchant vessels. And that's because a lot of merchants were pretty much out by themselves. They didn't have convoy systems protecting them, which of course was easy prey for the German submarines. And during the later instances of the war, because the convoy systems were very, very effective, and a lot of German submarines were not really able to get around the convoy systems simply because of the sonar capabilities and the fact of destroyers. Now, that being said, some of the newer U-boats, if the German army and Hitler had decided, German Navy, had decided to wait, I don't know, a year, 2 years, 3 years, a little bit later, because technological advancement, they could have actually done a lot better. I honestly think they could have. I mean, they still. I'm not exactly sure if they still would have lost. It is still quite probable that they would have lost, but the tides could have been turned. I've seen some of the prototypes for the 21s, 22s, and 23 U-boats. They're scary. I mean, they are legitly scary, and I'm like, okay, if they had basically waited until 1940, 1942 to start the war could have gone very, very quite differently, in my honest opinion. I mean, Germany, they started the war too early, and that is actually pretty much my opinion, that they did start the war a little bit too early. Other than that, I think the author is a very good point that some of the propaganda had to be hyped, and that was also, I mean, it's propaganda. It was hype. It was basically the German Navy saying, guys, we're going to kill you. The problem is with submarines is, okay, they don't go fast. I mean, we're above water. We're at half speed. We're doing 12 knots. Yeah, we're doing 12 knots. Merchants could do, I mean, above water at half speed, they could already be doing at least 18, 20 knots. They could still get away from us, even up on the surface. And most merchants, depending on how you were positioned, a merchant could ram a U-boat. So the problem is that the U-boats were too slow. And that's one of the arguments that I actually hold against with some of the war crimes that got pinned against the German Navy, was the fact of, oh, you are supposed to signal you're going to attack, which is absolute bull, in my opinion. A U-boat does not need to signal that she's going to fire on an enemy merchant, because the speed, that's one of the biggest things I have against the arguments of the war crimes filed against the German Navy in World War II, is if a U-boat is going to have to come out from underwater, there was a bird, but if a U-boat is going to have to come out from underwater to signal, oh, hey, we're a U-boat and we're going to attack you, that merchant, depending on where that U-boat is, that merchant is going to go, oh, crap, that's a German submarine. I guess we need to put it in full gear. I mean, you think 93% of a success rate of your getting to your locations is good? I mean, if they did that, you would have been looking probably at more of a 97% rate of Allied shipping get to their respective targets, and the number of U-boats would have sunk. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of wolf packs. That's the whole point of submarines sitting down under the water and then firing. That's the whole freaking point. The Allies did the exact same thing. They didn't say, oh, hi Japan, we're going to fire at your merchants now. Is that okay? Because the Japanese merchants could have gotten away. I mean, that's what the same with everybody. And that's one of the biggest arguments that I have against the war crimes that Germany and her Navy got stuck with, was that whole fact of saying, sure, we're going to signal you and say surrender when we very well know you could outrun us. My thoughts. Just saying. But anyway, guys, that is actually looking more towards the end of the episode here. Sorry, I know we haven't really done much. We did read the forward, though, so we're going to see land is quite a ways away from us, actually. So we're going to actually check on our navigation. We're going to see where we are, if there's been a plot point. That is at 1507. I don't think there should be a plot point, and theoretically, let us hope that we're going in the correct direction that we were wanting to. I hope we are. Hopefully there will be maybe an X along that route. There's no X yet, but Again, there should be by 1200 hours we should have we should actually be knowing if we actually will be making it down there or not. I'm just going off of the representation of where the 2 X's are. The third one, that should actually tell us where we're going. Normally by 3 X's, that can actually tell us where the heck we should be. As in the aspect of the install video that I did a couple of weeks ago, I do very much appreciate for those of you that actually commented on that video, and I really do appreciate. Hello. Oh, that's that destroyer, right? Yeah. Looks like she's sinking. What the fuck? Okay. Weird. Anyway, guys, like I was saying, for those of you that commented on that video, I greatly do appreciate it. I will be trying to figure out more of the installs, and I will also be doing some of the tutorials in the near future, if that is one of those things that could help out. As of for my next install video, I know I have not been able to do it yet because I've been doing other stuff. Obviously, we had to do the 3 horrors of Alien vs. Predator is the Xenomorphs, and I really, now that I think about it, I should have done humans, but hey, Xenomorphs are awesome. They rock. They kill people. And then, of course, we did the Slender Man as the damn Frenchies. Wahoo! Fuck the French! Fuck Slender Man! Anyway, no joke. Anyway. And then, of course, we did Five Nights at Freddy's. The next install video on Star Wars, Sins of a Galactic Empire should be theoretically, hopefully will come out next week. If not next week, the following week. So I'll be doing an install video on that, and then I will be doing one of the tutorials for this game within that relatively point of time. I know my Forgotten Reich channel has not come out, and I'm sorry. I'm actually waiting on one of my friends to get his computer set up to where that he can actually help me with the battles that I need to get for that intro. So I'm actually already starting on the actual episode stuff for that video. I'm just waiting on making the intro. So maybe a little while longer. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, it could be by next year before the Forgotten Reich actually does get fired up. Other than that, I guess that's it. I think that's actually it. So this video is gone at least 45 minutes by now. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Please do comment, rate, subscribe, tell me what you think, and I will see you guys next time on the next Silent Hunter 5 Battle of the Atlantic Wolves of Steel with Hitler's U-Boat War. So anyway, guys, thanks again. Please do comment, rate, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. This is the Germanic Gamer signing out. See you guys next time.